Hello! I'm Elaine, and I'm a tour guide in the French Quarter. I do ghost tours. And I am not going to tell you the stories that I tell on my tour, because you gotta pay for those. But if you want to hear some interesting things that have happened to me while I'm leading random drunk people around the French Quarter, I got you.
A couple of small things have happened in the last few days. First, my group last night had a bit of an awkward moment where I was in the middle of a story and they suddenly looked very scared. And I was like, What's going on? Is there somebody behind me? And yeah, there was a truck that had stopped right behind me. And when it drove on, my guests were like, he had a machine gun. I was like, is it the guy with the fake AK on his roof? And they're like, no. That was a real gun. And I was like, cool. 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 Well, he's gone. I'll finish the story. And then immediately afterwards, another truck pulled up with a group of girls singing along with the song at the top of their lungs. And I had to pause for them to go by because they were that loud. And I just looked at my guests and went, more pleasant interruption. And they were like, yep. But tonight, the big one, luckily none of my guests were there to see it. It was at the bar break, and I had sent them all inside, and they all dispersed. And, it was one of those nights I could not see a single one of my guests, and I'm just standing out on the sidewalk being like, cool. But I look over because I hear an angry shout, and there is a couple of people being loud, and I quickly look down at my phone and call up the messenger service for my company to shoot a warning to everybody that there is about to be a dad fight in front of Lafitte's blacksmith shop. Because, yeah, two middle-aged guys who, they might as well have been, from casting for Suburban Dad were sitting there screaming at each other, and the majority of it was one guy saying over and over again, say it again, bro, say it again, while the other one said, I said it, I said it, I said it. And eventually one of them actually clarified a little bit so that I could tell that it seems what the fight was over was who has more saved in the bank. Very Suburban Dad moment. But luckily none of my guests saw it. They were all inside and they came out after it calmed down. Though it was one of those fights where they were screaming, getting sort of aggressive physically towards each other, and then they dispersed and I was like, okay, it's over. And then they came back because they just couldn't let it go. And so the entire time my guests were regathering around, I was sitting there being like, they might come back. I'm not sure. But yeah, otherwise it was a pretty calm night. I did have a group that were one of those groups that were so interested in the stories and so into it and so wanted to talk to me between stops about the stories. And yet during the stories they were talking nonstop. And I'm like, y'all are better at multitasking than I am. But there was a moment of a brilliant question that one of the ladies came up and asked me that she was very confused because I had said that everyone legally had to be Catholic in New Orleans in the early days, and she was like, but I thought all the early settlers were Puritans. And I'm like, baby, no, that's the early English settlers. We ain't English down here, we French. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and be sure to check out my book, Drunks of the French Quarter Theater, available on Amazon, bookshop.org, Barnes & Noble, pretty much wherever.